On behalf of all of us under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, and most especially the Ghana Tourism Development Company, I declare the Accra by Night duly launched. Let's get on board.
Accra by Night is duly launched by the Honorable Minister.
The NIM became more like a borderline, preventing mosquitoes from coming into their domain. All right, the sense of the NIM was what was really driving away the mosquitoes. But as we all know, currently the mosquitoes we have in Ghana, Charlie Wamasro. So the sense is not really driving them. Townside is a national theater of Ghana that was built in 1992. It was purposely built for us to host stage play and also some conferences and the rest. So normally most of the stage plays and theater are held right over here. Private institutions also rent this particular space to host their program. All right, great. Currently to our left-hand side, to our left-hand side is the ministries. We have almost about 99% of our ministers and their workers working from that particular area. Again, originally, the British, when they moved from the British Accra, this particular area was where most of them were having their offices, and Ridge cantonment were more of their residents. Okay, great. On our right-hand side is Moving Pick, one of the first 5-star hotels we have in Ghana. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Ghana, all right? Before we gain our independence, who can tell me the name this nation was called? Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast, the name Gold Coast was given to us by which people? Portuguese. You've done well, but it's not the Portuguese. So the Portuguese were the first to arrive in Ghana, and the place they settled was Elmina. The word Elmina, the indigenous people couldn't pronounce it well because the Portuguese language. The right word is Elmina, that means place of mining. Later on, the British also came in. So the British were the last to leave, and that is how come we're being colonized by the British. And the name Gold Coast was given to us. But when Nkommo became president in 1960, Nkommo didn't like the idea that we were being... Where we are currently, we are at the back elevation of the Makwala market. So when you come here during the day, the place is really crowded, especially from Monday to Saturday. All right, the place is very, very crowded. When you come here during the day, during the night, you see the place very, very calm. But in the morning, from the hours of 4 a.m. all the way to 7 to 8 p.m., you see people here selling as well. All right, so I think we are still using the back elevation of Makwala Market. But then, like I said, Makwala Market is one of the biggest open market square we have here. The name is Makwala. That is a Ga language. So the indigenous people over here, at a time where they normally, in the olden days, where they normally do what we call bonfire. So they'll go for fire from that particular bonfire, and as they are going, they say, Iyakwala, I'm going for fire. All right, and that became the name. Left-hand side is the first post office in Accra that was built by the British when the capital was moved from Cape Coast. The first post office that was built in Accra when the capital was moved from Cape Coast to Accra. Now, when you look at the architectural design, it looks just like the British Royal Palace, style. All right, that is to tell you that it was built by the British. Currently, we have entered into where we call Old Accra. So the Old Accra comes in two different parts. We have the British Accra and the Dutch Accra. Okay, currently, by geographical location, we will say we are in the Dutch Accra, driving to the British Accra. Okay, great. Thank you. So you can see from the buildings over here that most of the buildings over here are very old. Most of them are over 400 to 500 years, right over here. The British came to settle here. The Dutch also came to settle here. Over here is the John Wesley Cathedral of the Methodists, again built by the British. We have Palladium. So this particular building you see on your right hand side was where Nkrumah was really having his conventions. So beginning, Nkrumah was rather hosting conventions instead of meetings and all that. He did that just to, in a way to prevent the British from knowing his, his style or his way of trying to fight them or push them out. So here at Palladium, Nkrumah was hosting his conventions. That's where he was having most of his meetings. And not only in Nkrumah, even in Accra, most of the indigenous people were using that particular space as their program. Currently, we are heading towards the ending point of British Accra. All right, so to our left-hand side is a shrine or a deity. If you remember when I started my tour, I told you most of the houses, when you are entering, there is a deity or a shrine right in front. So over here, we are entering into Jamestown, and then what you see over here is a deity or a shrine called Na Agbaduki Shrine. It has been strategically placed at the entrance, believing that he's the one protecting the people in this community. So if anybody is entering here with any evil intention, both physical or spiritual, he has some supernatural powers to prevent that person from entering. So on festive seasons like Nkommo Wo, the chiefs, their elders, led by traditional priests, parade themselves barefooted right over here, perform some rituals by slaughtering of animals and pouring of libation, thanking the deity for preserving and for protecting them throughout the whole year, right over here. So currently we have entered into Jamestown. The road we are driving on has been named after our former president, John Fifi Atama's High Street. So it has been named. Those of us who have been to Charlotte Festival, this one of the biggest art festival in Ghana, in Africa, was called Charlotte Festival. That simply means, Chale means friend. Wote is a Ghana language, simply means let's go. All right, and it was an art festival. Right. To our right hand side over here, there is a slave tunnel. So during the abolishment of slave trading, some people or even the British were still, secretly buying or channeling some slave through the tunnel all the way to the community, to the fort. Currently, we are in Jamestown. So to our left-hand side is where the first hotel in Ghana was built. It was called Seaview Hotel. The Seaview Hotel, that's the first hotel in Ghana, was built right over there. So what they were doing what we call raiding. They enter into a community, put the community on fire. They captured the strong men and women that they think they can sell. So such a thing happened right over there. So currently we just crossed from the British Accra to the Dutch Accra. Later on, after the abolishment of slave trading in 1807, the forts were all turned into prison. So our first president of Sajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when he was arrested and sentenced into prison, he served at the James prison. But then whilst he was there, instead of 3 years, whilst he was there, his political parties and Ghanaians kept putting pressure on the British to release him. That made them forcefully organize an election and added his name to it, believing that they will find a way to rig the system so that Nkrumah will lose, and they will say Nkrumah's own people do not even like him. But to their surprise, Nkrumah won the election hands down. That even looks as if the British even voted for Nkrumah. So instead of 3 years, Nkrumah was released in a year and some months. Nkrumah could have stood right in front of the prison to declare independence to Ghanaians. But Nkrumah decided to go to a place where no blacks were allowed to go. That is then the former polo grounds. Nkrumah stood there, declared independence to Ghanaians. That was where he made a profound statement by saying, Ghana, my beloved country, is free forever, forward ever, backwards never. Right over there, the Independence Square comes in 3 main monuments. We have the Black Star Square right over there. We have the Independent Arc over here. And closer to the stadium is the Nationalism Park. So these 3 comes together, making it called the Independence Square, built by our first president of Sajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, in 1961. Nkrumah wanted us to have our first independent parade. Initially, he wanted to build the square at where he stood to declare independent, but he realized that the space over there was too small, so he decided to bring the project right over here. Apart from we hosting the first independent parade over here. There have been series of programs that had been held there. When Bill Clinton visited Ghana, parade was made for him over there. Queen Elizabeth, same. Again, the swearing in of new president, the main one is done at the Parliament House. The one to the public is done right over here. Now, I want to ask a quick question. So when we look at the Black Star Square, the arc where the Black Star is, who can tell me what it looks like? It looks just like the letter A, capital A, representing Africa. You know, Nkommo was all about Africa. Like I said earlier on, that his vision was to unite the entire African country. All right, and that was what landed him into a very big trouble. Okay, so that's how come he did that. And Nkommo took the life of Marcus Garvey, W. Du Bois, Haile Selassie as his mentor. So if you look at the colors we have over here, we have these same colors in our Ghana flag. Nkommo took some of the ideas from the Pan-African flag, although the flag was designed by a lady called Miss Theodosia Oko. The red represents the struggle and the toil of our forefathers. What we see at the middle is not yellow, we call it gold, representing our minerals, and the green representing our vegetation. The black star you see in between, we normally say is the hope of Africa, but Nkommo took the idea of the Black Star from the Black Star Land ship that was organized by Marcus Garvey, bringing all blacks back to Africa, believing that the black man is capable of developing its own country, because he took him as his mentor as well. So that is the brief. Now, from here, because of the lighting system, we cannot really see the statue in there. We have a statue of an ex-military personnel who fought during the Second World War. So during the Second World War, we were under the rulership of the British, and some individuals were forcefully arrested from this place to go and fight on behalf of the British. They didn't go through any proper documentation, but they promised them that even as they go and fight and come back, they are going to give them a very huge amount of money. And based on that, most of them went, fought, came back. For a while, the money wasn't given to them. So this group of military men, who were, some came injured, some sick, mobilized themselves front right over here, marched peacefully to the Christianborg Castle. Then it was the seat of government for the British, to demand for their money. The governor then commanded his bodyguard to shoot at them straight from the top. The bodyguard refused. He took the gun from the hand of the bodyguard, shoot at them, killing 3 of them instantly, and injured almost about 250 to 300 of them right over here. So right over here, the street over here, or the road over here that leads to the Christianborg Castle has been named after the exact day that incident happened. That is on the 28th of February 1948. So here it's called the 28th February Road. All right. Yes, those who came alive and later died, they were buried at the military cemetery. So very closer to the Parliament House, we have the Christianborg Cemetery and the military cemetery as well over there.